Are you tired of your Amazon profits shrinking year over year? You're not alone. We're doing a case study today on somebody else who felt just like that and saw an almost $7,000 increase in their very first month working with us. Today, we're going to be doing a pair case study where we go through each of the steps in the pair process and specifically talk about how we applied it to this business to get a 34% increase in their profits their very first month. Let's get into it. Before we get into it, what does pair stand for? It stands for promotions, advertising, inventory, and rankability. We're going to talk about how we went through each of these different processes to prioritize products, focus on the biggest levers, and get a big profit increase in their very first month. Okay, so we'll start with the proof first. The first day they worked with us was February 1st of 2025. So we're recording this March 5th, a little over a month ago. I'm a little sad because the seller board updated a little bit and it was over 7,000 just before I started recording this, but we still saw a 34% increase in profitability in their very first month working with us. Now, this is a supplement company, so it does kind of make sense that they would see bigger results in January than they would in December, but to see bigger results in February than January is definitely not normal. Usually we see a much smaller amount of sales in supplements in February because generally speaking, it's a shorter month. There are way fewer days, and there's less new year, new me energy going on than there is in early January. So let's talk about how we got here. One of the first things we did when we started working with them is we just started looking at their performance for the previous month and just evaluating, okay, what kind of promotions had they run? Had they run any discounts? Had they run any coupons? Were they implementing aggressive pricing strategies? And we kind of just took an inventory of what had worked in the past, not just in the last month, but also in maybe the last year. We kind of ran through their deals, which there weren't many. We ran through their discounts, ran through their flagpole days. Actually, flagpole days was something that was a big opportunity for this account. And unfortunately, we're not going to be able to show that until at least the end of March, if not much later. And so once we'd gone through and evaluated what was happening on their promotions side of things, we were able to kind of take a look and say, okay, is there any data that really is a little bit out of whack because they did some kind of aggressive promotion or anything like that? Or are we looking at fairly clean data? And the answer in this case was actually that we were looking at clean data. But then we had to step into the next phase, which is, great, all right, how do we evaluate their advertising? How is their advertising doing? Well, lucky for us, their advertising was already organized. It was not in a great state. So we kind of took a look at it and said, okay, the tacos are a little bit high. And then when we started drilling into the different products, we found that there was a ton of waste. There's a ton of high tacos products that just weren't really getting the love they needed. They had too many campaigns. There were too many conflicting strategies happening in the account. And so we decided to just get organized. So that on its own had a massive impact on the account because we were able to focus on getting organized and getting all the data clean. That had a big positive impact because we could now, relatively easily tell if we took X action, Y result occurred or did not occur because we had clean data, organized data, and a clear path forward. It was probably about 8 hours of work. And it took about 8 hours of work because we had to go through most of the products in this account. So we had to go through all the products in this account, but I was going to say most of the products in this account are actually pretty high volume. There's not a lot of really dead products, which is interesting. That's not traditionally the way that Amazon accounts come to us. They usually have some dead products, some products that are kind of limping along, some products that can be revived, and maybe one or two bestsellers. This account had, 5 products that could be revamped and 3 products that with some fix-ups could see a huge spike in improvement. So in the first month, we got a couple of things right, but the biggest challenge that we faced when we were looking at this account is actually inventory. So we looked at the inventory and we said, great, what's our inventory situation? Well, this was a little bit more typical, but all the best-selling products were incredibly low on inventory. So we initially said, we got to get our inventory game straight. You need to slow down on ordering this product. We'll slow down the ads. But then further to that point, we need to evaluate if some of these products, like some of these ones up at the top of the screen, actually are going to make you more profit in the future. Like an 11% margin on one of your best sellers, while that is okay, I thought that there was a lot more room for improvement, especially because it was a product that was and is still in a low stock situation. So why are we spending so much to be out of stock all the time? It just doesn't really make sense. So the first thing we did in that following month is just focus on spending less money and getting our margin up on a bunch of products that we were just overspending on. The next thing is we evaluated, okay, so of the products that we think are good opportunities and have opportunities to grow, what could we do differently? What could we do to spend more money, to sell more, to grow our margin more? And we landed on a couple of products. Now, only one of them was eligible for a best deal in the first month, so we did run one best deal. And that led to a huge amount of sales. But it did require a lot of effort on the seller's part to make sure we had the inventory and make sure that we had all the keywords lined up in the right way, make sure we had all of our listings looking right. And so that did take a lot of coordinated effort, but it really did pay off. And so in the end, and I know we cycled back from inventory back over to promotions, but that was one of the key strategies, is we kept jumping back and forth once we recognized an opportunity in one category to see if we could do something else in another. So I am getting a bit ahead of myself, so let's finish the inventory conversation. So we did recognize that there were some products that definitely had more room for inventory optimization and some that we really needed to slow down the ads on. And so we did take advantage of that opportunity. But then the final thing we did was we started to look at rankability. And so the way we look at rankability is we actually come into our custom built tool we call the keyword rank tracker. And we started just paying attention to each product individually. And so what we're looking at right now is the product that had the most opportunity for ranking. And so I'm going to do all of February in this view. And so in early February, we were taking a look at some of these keywords, and we noticed that we had a much higher conversion rate than the benchmark. And on February 12th, for our main keyword, we realized we were actually 5th ranked organically. So we knew that there was already a lot of opportunity. Hey, it's me again. You're not going to believe this, but the audio in that file got corrupted. So I'm going to finish the rest of this story just like this. So what happened is we were able to take the main keyword that got the majority of the sales, and we were able to grow our ranking from 5th place to 2nd place. And the main reason we were able to do that is we were able to look at the benchmark conversion rate and then compare it to our actual advertising conversion rate. And the math just made sense. All we needed to do was spend more money on the keyword where we were getting that high conversion rate and show Amazon that we were the best product to be ranked for this keyword. We ended up finishing 2nd place organically, and we've held that position ever since. The only concern I have now is we might be a little bit low on inventory. So the final step is just making sure we stay in stock and reduce our ad spend to slow down our ad sales a little bit so that we can really maximize our organic ranking and make the most profit possible. So if you found this video interesting, you should check out the video that we put together on the pair strategy next. Or if you've already watched that, check out our how to rank any product with AI video. That should be linked in the description below. See you again soon.